Hey everybody, how's everybody doing? Hopefully everybody's having a good night. Hopefully everybody's enjoying their Thursday. As I like to start off, as always, thanking the essentials, the ones out there working for oops, hold on one second. There we go. I want to thank everybody out there, the doctors, nurses, scientists, janitors, truck drivers, fast food workers, grocery store workers, small business workers, just everybody out there, that's going through all this right now and just going through this weird time right now. But as always, wash your hands before every meal and after every meal, and as always, carry some hand sanitizer with you. That way, you always have something just in case, like if you sneeze on your elbow. And just do the right thing, be safe. Social distancing is key right now. And for the people that are stuck in quarantine, hopefully you guys are staying right. Hopefully you guys are taking care of your mind, taking care of your body, trying to distract yourself, like, learning a new hobby, reading a book, enjoying, playing board games with your little ones if you have little ones, just anything to do to distract your mind right now through this whole pandemic. And if everybody just does their part, the quicker everybody does their part, the quicker this thing goes away. So um, let's just all try to do our part, and hopefully, when this is all said and done, hopefully, you know, it'll be over and we get to go back to normal lives. So today we are going to talk about the AFC South. I can't believe that a week ago today the draft was on, and now we're recapping. Like that was the quickest thing ever. So that's how fast time goes, and we're here now and can't wait, for the regular season to start. Hopefully there is a regular season, and can't wait for the schedule to come out. That's going to be pretty soon too, and can't wait for that either. So today we recap the AFC South. We're going to start off with the Houston Texans. Now remember, they don't have a first rounder because they traded it away to Laramie Tunsil. They did have a second rounder. They took Ross Blacklock, the defensive tackle out of TCU. He was the guy famous for having or not knowing that he had 37 unpaid parking tickets at school campus. He didn't know until he interviewed with the Raiders, and they told him about it. He found out, and that's what happens. That's the thing about the draft. They know everything about you, so there's no point of hiding it. So they took Ross Blacklock, the defensive tackle out of TCU. That's actually a good pickup, only due to the fact that DJ Reader did leave from Houston to go to Cincinnati. So, he's probably the replacement now. So that's a good start. With the third round pick 90, Jonathan Greenland, linebacker out of Florida. He's going to start right away. He has no choice whether he was ready or not. He has to start. There was a lot of other talents out there, but they took a chance on him, so he has to start on the defensive front seven for the Texans. So whether he was ready or not, he had a solid career at Florida. I mean, it's a typical, SEC linebacker, tough, very defensive minded, very intelligent. So, just he's going to start whether he's ready or not, but I think he's up for the challenge. So fourth round, 126, Charlie Heck, offensive tackle out of North Carolina. He's going to be a swing tackle between Laramie Tunsil and um, Titus Howard, the guy they drafted last year in the first round. So um, he'll be a swing tackle, but he had a good career in North Carolina. Just wasn't very sought out after his career was over, and he's going to be a swing man, and we'll see what happens from here. So fourth round, John Reed, the cornerback out of Penn State. Um, Special teamers here. He has experience at special teams at Penn State, so I think he's going to transition very well to the NFL at special teams. And then their last pick, which was a fifth rounder, Isaiah Cutler, the wide receiver out of Rhode Island. Again, special teams. He'll probably take over kick return, punt return duties. And this draft for Houston, I mean, the thing is, you think with all the players that they traded, well, let me rephrase that. With the pick, with DeAndre being traded away, you think they would have more ammunition, maybe get more draft picks down the road, but instead they actually keep losing picks, which is weird to me because they keep trading for these guys, and when they trade their guys, they don't get nearly enough value. Like Charlie Heck and John Reed, that's the DeAndre Hopkins pick, and you drafted a special teamer. You only drafted one wide receiver. I mean, yeah, if you feel comfortable with Brandon Cooks and Randall Cobb as your starters and Will Fuller, then okay, no need there. But you're gonna go from DeAndre Hopkins to those three. I mean, it's safe to say that it's a little scary out there for Houston, but the coach, as I mentioned, Bill O'Brien, he can get anything done. The general manager, Bill O'Brien, I don't know. It's it's a risky thing to do, but overall, the grade I give this draft class for Houston, I actually got to give it a thumbs down, man. I don't think they did enough, especially with the few draft picks that they had. They got nothing in return. Now their offensive line looks shaky at best again. Um, yeah, they got the replacement for Ross Blacklock, but we'll see how it turns out. And the Jonathan Greenland, and there was a lot of other linebackers out there who were probably more ready than him, but they're taking a chance on him. And Charlie Heck, I mean, he's a swing tackle man. So I mean, overall, thumbs down to the Houston Texans. I don't know what the general manager was thinking, but hopefully the coach has a better recipe than the general manager. So we'll go from there. Next up are the Titans. The Titans are, they played in the AFC Championship game last week or last year, against the Chiefs, and they were a game away from the Super Bowl. So we'll see how they did with their draft picks. So Isaiah Wilson, which was my favorite moment of the draft, not because it's always a good time, good moment for these kids to get drafted, but this was my favorite moment only due to the fact that he got drafted. His girlfriend or whoever she was giving him a hug, and the mom kind of yanked her away from the TV. That was actually kind of my favorite moment because if Mama says move, Mama's gonna make you move, and that's exactly what happened. And that was actually my favorite part of the whole draft was watching Mama just kind of yank her, like let my baby boy have his moment that he worked so hard for. So Isaiah Wilson, offensive tackle out of Georgia. Now Andrew Thomas, was the first lineman to be taken, and the crazy thing about Georgia, they had these two guys at left and right tackle who were first round talents, and it shows right here. They had to replace Jack Conklin. They did with Isaiah Wilson, who's going to fit perfect there because he is an aggressive run blocker. Tennessee's going to run the heck out of that ball, and this was a great pickup. Then they go to the second round with the free agency of Logan Ryan now heading to free agency. They chose Christian Fulton, the cornerback out of LSU, who was possibly the best man corner, to some in the draft, and they got him in the second round. So that's a great value there. Darian Evans, the third rounder, pick 93, the running back out of Appalachia State. He's actually going to be a change of pace back for Derrick Henry. He's more of a speedster, and he's going to actually probably take care of kick return and punt return duties as well. So this was a great pickup for them too. Now, they can use Derrick Henry, and then once Derrick's ready to, sub, you want to sub Derrick Henry, well, now you got to change with this speedster, and after, you're getting hit, you're going to tackle Derrick Henry. You have to bring him down, or else he's going to run all over you. Now you got to try to chase the speedster after trying to bring down the big guy. So I think that was a great idea. Then in the fifth round, 174, Larry Murchison, the defensive tackle out of North Carolina State. He'll be a rotational man, but I think it's very needed. Since Gerald Casey got traded to Denver, they needed somebody to find his replacement, and we'll see how it goes from there. And then their 2 seventh-round picks, pick 223, Cole McDonald, the quarterback out of Hawaii. We'll see what happens in his case. He could just be coming in to be a camp arm, or third string quarterback, maybe work on the scouts team. But I don't think, if they have any plans of him, being a starter, then this is a great pickup there. He did have fifth to sixth round talent. They got him in the seventh, so we'll see how that works out for them. Then their last pick, seventh round, 243, Chris Jackson, safety out of Marshall. I don't know where he's going to fit. He does play some nickel corner. They're already kind of set at safety, so I don't know where he's going to fit. If he does, it's just going to be special teams role, which is important to always find in this depth of the later rounds in the draft. So overall, with the Titans, I'm just going to give them, middle of the pack. They did draft all their needs, but I don't know really, I thought they were going to be a team that, was maybe going to take a chance on a wide receiver to kind of help out Ryan Tannehill, but we'll see what happens. We'll see what happens. And for now, they got their right tackle to replace Jack Conklin. They got a man corner, and they got the backup to Derrick Henry and the replacement for Jarrell Casey. But overall, I think right now it's middle of the pack with no wide receiver on their draft board. So we'll see what happens there. Then we move on to the Colts. They didn't have a first rounder because they traded it for DeForest Buckner. So in a sense, their first round pick this year was DeForest Buckner. But second round, 34th pick, Michael Pittman, the wide receiver out of USC. He was one of the better wide receivers. I think in any other draft, I think he would be a late first rounder. But with the depth class of this wide receiver class, he fell to the second. He didn't have to wait too long. He was the second player picked up in the second round, so he didn't have to wait too long. And now he's going to be with, T.Y. Hilton and Paris Campbell. So now they got their trio set. And, for Phillip Rivers, that's pretty good now that he has an offensive line and he has wide receivers and a tight end to throw to now. So, this is what he was missing in Los Angeles, Yeah, his arm strength kind of deteriorated, but still, when you have no time in the pocket, there's nothing even an aging quarterback like Phillip Rivers can do. It's just you get what you get. But now that he's going to go to a team who has an offensive line that is set everywhere from left tackle to right guard, this is a great situation. And I think the Colts are probably right now my favorite to come out of the division on top. I think they're the favorites to win the division this year. Then the second round pick, they're staying in the second round, pick 41, Jonathan Taylor, the running back out of Wisconsin. So they already had Marlon Mack and they already had Hines, but now you add Jonathan Taylor, who's probably going to come in and compete for the starting job. And if he were to win, now he's going to go from one of the best lines from colleges from Wisconsin to one of the best lines in the NFL. And again, this is probably another better option for Phillip Rivers to have a good running back to, get you down the field. And then, you can work on the short, immediate passes. But I think this is a great pickup. Now they got their starter, possibly their starter here. Third round, pick 85, Julian Blackmon, safety out of Utah. You're going to hear me say this a lot. Anytime you get a defensive player from Utah this year, you're getting one of the better players in the draft because as a unit, they were amazing. So Julian Blackmon, safety out of Utah. I know they're kind of set at safety, but I wouldn't be surprised if he does take a starting role down the road somewhere. Then in the fourth round, 122, Jacob Eason, the quarterback out of Washington. This was a surprise pick to many, only due to the fact that they have Phillip Rivers and Jacoby Brissett, but I understand the pick. They're both gone after this year. They only have 1 year left on their contracts. So if Jacob Eason's going to come in, he's going to be the third string quarterback, and they're going to see what he's got. They're going to see what he's got, and, hopefully he works up the ranks. And I think he will. As I mentioned before, Jacob Eason was one of my favorite quarterbacks. He can make any throw anywhere. So he's got the frame, he's got this arm strength, and to me, I think this is a great value pick, for the Colts to start thinking about the future. And if it doesn't work for Phillip Rivers or Jacoby Brissett, they'll give him a chance. And again, there's no risk here. If he fails too, then they can focus on getting a quarterback early next year. But if not, and it works out, then hey, you got your starter in the fourth round. That's great drafting by the general manager Chris Ballard up in the Indianapolis. Then fifth round, another great pick, Danny Pinter, offensive lineman out of Ball State. Um, he's a do-it-all lineman. He can play outside. He can play any tackle. He can play guard. He actually plays center too. He's a do-it-all lineman, and I think with the Colts, they needed this type of depth because some of their depth players did sign somewhere else. So I think here, with Danny Pinter coming in, he could be a depth player, and I think this is a great pickup by the Colts too. Robert Windsor, defensive tackle at Penn State, he'll be a rotational man now that the Colts have the two dudes at the middle for defensive tackle. So Robert Windsor, the defensive tackle, Penn State, he's going to come in, be a depth guy, and again, that's what it's all about, depth. And this is a great pickup for the Colts again. Isaiah Rodgers, cornerback out of UMass, sixth round to 11. Again, he's one of those versatile players. He could play nickel. He could play safety. I don't know where they're going to line him up, but if he does make the team, it's going to be probably gunner at special teams. So we'll see what happens there. And then the sixth round with the next pick, literally 212, Desmond Patman, wide receiver out of Washington State. Only on our first comment, Joan Garcia, what's up? Desmond Patman, wide receiver out of Washington State. Another big body. He could be used as a red zone target. So we'll see what happens there. We'll see if, maybe they just wanted to take a look at this kid. With the league extending from 53 to 55, maybe he does make it this year. So we'll see what happens. And then the next pick, 213, Jordan Glasgow, linebacker out of Michigan. It always seems like I think this is like the third year out of like 5 that somebody from the Glasgow family gets drafted. I know his cousin got drafted in 2011 by Cincinnati, and then I know his brother got drafted by Detroit 2014, 15, or something like that. But here he comes. So they're all in the league together now, which I think is pretty cool when you think about it. You can only imagine the excitement of the parents, having all their 3 boys making it into the NFL. So that's I don't know what was going on in that Glasgow house, but I think people in America should ask for the secret recipe. But overall, for the Colts, I got to give it a thumbs up, man. I love it. I love this pick. I think this pick was, the whole draft class as a whole. They didn't have a first rounder, but they took a risk for DeForest Buckner. They got their wide receiver. They got their starting running back. They got a starting safety. They possibly might have found their starter quarterback in the 4th round. They took care of depth. Overall, the Colts are going to be one of the better teams as long as the quarterback situation holds up, because that's kind of what held the Colts back last year. Last year, everybody thought Andrew Luck was going to come back. He abruptly retires, I think, a week or 2 before the season began. So they had to go with Jacoby Brissett. He's not a bad quarterback. It just didn't work out. And that's when they decided, okay, let's get Phillip Rivers. Overall, I think Phillip Rivers is going to improve this year. He's going to go from a team that didn't have an offensive line to a team that has all 5 caliber starters, from Anthony Costanzo, Quentin Nelson, Ryan Kelly, Joe Haeg, just everybody. Everybody on that offensive line is coming back, and this is probably going to be a better year for the Colts than last year. And I think for me, my money this year, I would pick the Colts to win the division this year coming out. Then last but not least, we're going to go to the team that had the most pick out of this whole division, the Jacksonville Jaguars. So they kind of had an interesting offseason from trading Nick Foles to Chicago, and then they got Josh Dobbs. And now their quarterback situation is Gardner Minshew, the legend with the stash, the jorts. So they have faith in them, and we'll see what happens there. With the ninth pick, they took C.J. Henderson. I think everybody in the draft had Isaiah Simmons pinned here only due to the fact that their linebacking core was kind of one of the worst. But Isaiah Simmons is gone. There wasn't really a linebacker worth taking in the top 10 again. So they went with the best available player, which was the second best corner to some. Second or third, depends on who you talk to. Yeah, George Rule. Yeah. CJ Henderson out of Florida. As I mentioned, dude, he's an athlete. He's a versatile athlete. He can play outside. He can play nickel. He can play in dime situations. He could blitz some. I think this is a great pickup, and now you got your replacement from Jalen Ramsey. They had another first-round pick 20, which belonged to the Rams, but again, that trade for Jalen Ramsey. This is the pick they went with. K'Lavon Chaisson, linebacker out of LSU, and as I mentioned multiple times, I think he's the sleeper in the draft that nobody talked about. I think he's probably going to be my money. If you told me which defensive player would win Defensive Player of the Year, it would be either between Chaisson or Kenneth Murray. Those are going to be my two guys. Yeah, Isaiah Wilson is going to go to the Cardinals, but we'll see how that goes. But right now, I think he falls into a good situation with Jacksonville with all the defensive, turnaround they did. And Kenneth Murray, the linebacker out of Oklahoma. I think those two guys might be competing for Defensive Player of the Year this year. Then they go to the second round, wide receiver. Pick 42, they went wide receiver Laviska Shenault from Colorado. Now, people remember that he got hurt during the combine, and this was before he ran the 40, but he ran the 40. He got a slow time, so that probably knocked him down, but there's no questioning his toughness. So in the second round, I think this is an absolute steal for Jacksonville. They needed a wide receiver. Dede Westbrook, we don't know if he's a long-term answer. DJ Chark is finally coming into his own. Then you got to look at Chris Conley and a bunch of these other guys that are there. But I think Laviska Shenault will probably be the number one in no time. Then third round, pick 73, Devon Hamilton, the defensive tackle out of Ohio State. He was a second in sacks with a team. I mean, the first was Chase Young, so there's no shame in that. But he was second with 6.5, and he actually led the team with 14.5 tackles for losses. So he's athletic in his own right too. So I think he's going to be a big addition to the Jacksonville Jaguars now that Calais Campbell is in Baltimore. So I think this is a huge addition to him, to that Jaguars defense. Fourth round, 116, Ben Barch, the offensive lineman out of St. John, Minnesota. He's a versatile lineman. He can play guard center. He did play tackle in St. John, but I think he's a little bit smaller frame for an offensive lineman. So I think he'll probably be comfortable as a center or guard, depending on how it works out for him. Fourth round, 137, Josiah Scott, cornerback out of Michigan. He's another dude, versatile guy, can play nickel, can play safety. It all depends on what Jacksonville sees in him and how they want to utilize him. But overall, I like this pick. I think it's a good pickup for Jacksonville to start rebuilding that defense, and hopefully the offense gets something going. Staying in the fourth round, 140, they got Shaquille Quarterman, the linebacker out of Miami. All I can tell you is this is probably a pick where he was probably pretty happy with. He played his high school football in Jacksonville, so he's going to go home to play for the Jaguars. He is a two-down linebacker. He's probably going to be there for your first and second, and then passing situations he'll leave. But Shaquille Quarterman's a pretty good linebacker. He's not the fastest guy, but he's very, very intelligent for that position, and he knows how to get after the running backs. He was a tackling machine all his 4 years, to close to 400-something tackles, and then he's had a couple sacks, a couple interceptions. But the one key thing is he always knows how to cause over a turnover. I think that was very important to bring up because he's one of those linebackers that, can come in and doesn't have to learn how to do force fumble drills. I think he's already up and up above the rest, at some of the rest. But I think this is another solid pickup by Jacksonville. Fifth round, 157, Daniel Thomas, safety out of Auburn. Again, we don't know. All we know is that he's a speedster. He might be used as a special teams, kick returner, punt returner, gunner. Maybe one of those guys that helps out on the line. We'll see, but we'll see how this plays out. At this point, it's all about depth, and I think they're going to take a chance on this kid. Fifth round, 165, Colin Johnson, wide receiver out of Texas. He's kind of a mix to be considered to maybe wide receiver, tight end. That's kind of what I'm hearing right now, that he could be converted into a tight end. He didn't run the fastest 40 as well. He's the heaviest wide receiver in that team now. So I don't know, maybe he could convert to tight end. I'm not sure, but overall, I mean, you got to take a chance with strong hands and excellent, short to intermediate route running skills. Fifth rounder, why not take a chance on him? Sixth round, pick 189, Jake Luton, the quarterback out of Oregon State. Again, they have Minshew, they have Dobbs, so he'll probably come in and be the third string quarterback. Not much to it other than maybe they like him enough to give him a shot. So other than that, I can't see anything other than that. Sixth round, 206, Tyler Davis, tight end out of Georgia Tech. He's a tight end in his own right, but he could probably be more used as an H-back. The hybrid between fullback, tight end. I don't know. I mean, he's very fast and he's got excellent hands, but the one thing is it's his route running. He only knows, how to go straight, the ins, outs, I think that's something he's going to have to work on, but we'll see what happens there. And then with their last pick at 223, Chris Claybrooks, the cornerback out of Memphis. This is all about depth. And I think what it is here, it's another kick returner, punt returner situation. They got to help the special teams. They were one of the worst special teams out there. But I think that what they did in this draft was address all their needs and get depth and get quicker on special teams. So with that, I'm going to give this Jaguars draft class a thumbs up. I think they took care of everything from replacing Jalen Ramsey to getting one of the better pass rushers in the draft, getting a wide receiver, maybe hopefully finding a replacement for Devon Hamilton, and now the offensive lineman. They nailed this. This is probably one of the better teams that had a better draft class. As I mentioned yesterday, I think Minnesota as a whole had the best draft class, but Jacksonville's up there pretty good. And a buddy of mine mentioned to me today, as I was talking to him, that, about the whole thing with the whole, the Raiders moving to Vegas. We're going to switch this, because I want to get this out of the way. Because it's kind of been, I kind of tell them, hey, I won't know more until Thursday. Well, today's the day. He really wants me to talk about it. And I said, okay, I'll talk about it. So today, what happened was a judge from California finally put an end to the stop of the city of Oakland and Libby Schaaf suing the Raiders for moving, wrongfully. What the city did is they sued the Raiders and the NFL, all 31 other franchises, to try to get something back. But today, a court, a judge by the name of, U.S. Chief Magistrate Judge Joseph Sparrow, he dismissed the case from the city. So that doesn't mean, that they could still sue. They could still take it to state court, but I think this pretty much put a nail in the coffin. The reason I want to talk about it is just to get this out of the way. Look, I'm excited for Vegas as much as anybody. There's a couple people out there that have reached out to me, has told me, F Vegas, they should have stayed in Oakland. Look, I get all that. I'm going to miss Oakland as much as the next guy. But to me, if you're going to blame anybody, don't blame Mark Davis. The only crime Mark Davis has and the Davis family has is to make their business better. I think what a lot of people realize is that, yes, the NFL, that's a team. But for the owners, that's their business. The only crime he had was trying to make their business better. So when Vegas pounced and said, "Hey, we'll give you all this public money, and you just have to pay us back, by through taxes and raising fees on hotel stays," okay. I mean, you would not take, if you're an owner and you're not going to take 750 million in public funding, then you must be loaded. So, but come back to the East Bay, it's not going to happen. This kind of put an end to it, and pretty much in a harsh way, this was kind of his words, and I quote, the judge wrote, "Instead, I made the decision today to dismiss the case of Libby Shaft and the city council members of the city of Oakland, to dismiss the case of the Raiders and the NFL for purposely trying for them to leave. Instead, it would seem during the readout through that the city of Oakland simply wished it could have kept one of those teams regarding to the Golden State Warriors and the Las Vegas Raiders now. Simply wish it could have kept one of those teams to itself. And, there's possibly talks about the A's moving. He did mention that. And benefited from the prestige and economic windfall that deserves from the scarcity without paying the superchromatic price that also arises from it." So what he pretty much said was the city just wanted the money. That's all it was. They just wanted the fees to be paid back. Unfortunately, there was no ruling, or there was no unlawful thing the Raiders and the NFL did to move. So with all that being said, he also put, it was an unorthodox theory of the antitrust injury. So meaning what he was practically saying is, back to the city council, is this was just a money grab. It felt like a money grab. They just wanted the Raiders to pay one last time to the city, and they dismissed it. The city claimed that the $378 million relocation fee that the team paid acted as super contributive cartel payments to the 31 owners. So that relocation fee, what they were saying was they wanted the Raiders to pay the relocation fee to the city instead to the owners, but the judge dismissed that. So in granting the team and the league's motion to dismiss the case with prejudice, Sperano doubled down on saying that finding any unlawful thing will be hard to find, meaning the Raiders and the NFL are in the clear. It's over. This final chapter of Oakland, the city of Oakland versus the family, the Davis family, because it was never between the Raiders versus the city. It was never like that. It was the city versus the Davis family. It's just, unfortunately, the Raiders had to get involved because the Davis family owns the Raiders. So whatever harm may result, he kept saying, whatever harm may result from allowing teams to relocate to the city with the highest bid is not harm redressable under the antitrust laws. So what he's saying is that fee is strictly business. There's nothing unlawful about it. Yes, I understand the Raiders still have fees that they had to pay out, like the TARP. What a lot of people don't remember was that used to be called Mountain Davis. Al Davis wanted extra seats, so he put that Mountain Davis up there. But then later years, the NFL just started getting a little bit more expensive, including to inner cities, like Oakland, Detroit, just really bad inner cities, and they just couldn't keep up with the payments, so they just tarped it off, and whoever could make it. So he also, yeah, oh yeah, those seats were awesome for 10 bucks. Go to a game, get yourself a couple beers, and have a good time. Those seats were amazing. Those seats from Mount Davis were amazing, and I sat up there a few times myself. They were nice, man. Before I got my season tickets, I sat up there a couple times, and they were cool. They were cool as hell. So For 10, 15 bucks, I mean, you really going to be upset? No, but it's just the NFL got too expensive. They had to tarp it off. So that's what happens. And as I was saying, so the judge, however, dismissed the team's state law claims for lack of subject matter, giving the city the opportunity to refile those claims in state court, which I was mentioning. Libby Shaft and the city council can still file this. They can still sue them under state court. I just don't think it'll be any better. Overall, they did try to get a comment from Libby Shaft. They did try to get a comment from Porter K. Scholar, who represents the team, the lawyer of the team, and they were both not available for comment. Understandably, one was upset and one just wanted to get out of there and just be done with it. This was a case where I just feel that it was pointless. For me personally, I give this all to Libby. I mean, I'm going to thank her. I'm going to be the first ones to thank her for allowing this to happen, because now, as Raider fans, yes, we're going to miss Oakland. Like, I'm going to miss Oakland. It was fun times, but for me, it was just always embarrassing for me to say I was a Raider fan. And, they told me, hey, what time is the baseball game? Like it was just embarrassing, to have dirt. There's 31 other teams that have their own stadium. It's like, let's be real about this. It was just embarrassing to, be known as the last team to play on a baseball field. So I'm going to thank her personally for allowing this to happen and for her to just give up on the city itself, for trying to keep the teams. Now, as a Raider fan, we're going to have a stadium to call our own. And that's the thing I want to press this issue about. If you're, one of my friends, who says, F Vegas, they're always going to be the Oakland Raiders, that's fine. But as I mentioned, you guys deserve this stadium too. And if you got, I have a couple of my buddies that says, screw the Raiders, I'm never going to follow them. This wasn't their choice. It's not like the players on that team decided, hey, let's move to Vegas. No, this was an owner's choice. He wanted to move. And if you want to leave the team because they left your city, hey, that's okay. That's fine. Me, personally, I'm more a fan of the team. It didn't matter the city. As I mentioned earlier, my brother, he remembers them when they were in LA, and he was inconsolable the day he left. The day the Raiders left LA, you couldn't talk to him for weeks. But he got over it. He was still a Raider fan, just like he was going to be a Raider fan now that they're in Vegas. That's what it is. It's just you're a fan of the team, not the city. And if you really feel like the city makes the team, then hey, that's on your opinion. That's your opinion. Me personally, as a fan, for what I was paying in Vegas or what I was paying in Oakland, and I only have to pay a little bit more in Vegas, no, I'm not a fan anymore. I mean, that's on you. But I mean, if I see you at tailgating, I'm just gonna kick you right out. That was my brother's comment. But overall, this should be a new video. No. This is just a one-time thing because I'm tired of talking about this. I'm tired of talking about this, whole Oakland versus, Raiders and Libby Shaft versus Mark Davis. I'm tired of talking about it. People want to bring it up and I'll talk about it then. But for me personally, I'm never going to bring it up. All I know is the Raiders are moving to Vegas. So for people out there like Dr. Death, a.k.a. Ray Perez, Zini, get over it. It's over. They left. You're either with us or you're not. That's it. I mean, look, they're moving. Nothing we can do about it. You're either a fan of the team or you're not anymore. It's just ridiculous to the point that you're upset that they made a business decision. I get it. It's going to hurt. Look, talking to a couple cops in Oakland, they always told me this. When the whole rumor came up about Vegas, they said, I'm going to miss if they do leave because at least on Sundays, I know where everybody's at. Everybody's enjoying the game. If they leave, I don't know what's going to happen to the city. Well, I'm going to tell you what's going to happen. It's probably going to get bad. There's going to be no distractions because you're only going to see the Oakland Athletics play. The Warriors are gone. The Raiders are now gone. The Athletics are thinking about moving too. At some point, market value doesn't matter anymore. That's the thing I'm trying to get. Believe it or not, Oakland had at one point the eighth biggest market value for a sports team. It was in the top 10. What happened? Social media happened. You know, internet happened. Direct TV with the NFL Sunday ticket happened. I could, on a Sunday, I could be sitting in my brother's garage in Fontana, California, and watch a game being played at Cincinnati, Ohio by a flick of a channel. That's what happened, guys. Market values doesn't matter anymore in any sport. It doesn't matter because everything is so live stream. You can live stream it here. You can live stream it there. It doesn't matter anymore. Market value has no place. Now, loyalty, that's always going to be an issue. Raider fans that are from Oakland and that were loyal to them and now, are not going to be loyal no more, probably going to be 49er fans. It happens. You're going to root for your home crowd. Me personally, I grew up, I was that last generation that grew up that didn't have a football team in Los Angeles for the 20 plus years. The Rams came, the Chargers came. I didn't care. I didn't care. I was happy for them. I was happy for my buddies that were Rams fans that were part of the LA Ram family that they came back and they got their team back. That's great. I was, sad for the Charger fans in San Diego because I did have a couple buddies who were Charger fans in San Diego. Some came to LA, some didn't. It happens all the time. And that's the thing I'm trying to tell you guys. It's just some teams are going to move. Some people are going to come. Some people are not. And for the people in Vegas, this message is going to go to you directly. Every time I go to Vegas now and I have my Raider gear, the first thing I always get asked is, man, I don't know you, but I hope, a bunch of your troublemakers don't come. Like, I get it. They have a bad history. You could take the Raiders out of Oakland, but you can't take the town out of the Raiders. Absolutely not. Now, again, to the people in Vegas that live in Vegas and that are so scared of a team with this reputation, the simple solution to you is this. Don't go to the games. It's as simple as that. Do not go to the games. If you really feel scared about Raider fans coming to your town, don't go to the games. Just don't go. I mean, live your life, but if you're really gonna be like I've been hearing, gonna be one of those people, some of those groups that are really gonna protest and really stand in front of the gates that you're not gonna let us in, you can forget it. I mean, it's just gonna happen. When this whole coronavirus is over and when games are gonna be able to play, we as fans are gonna go to go see them play in Vegas. There's no stopping that. And if you feel scared or if you just don't like the decision that they're coming here, same thing. Get over it. They're coming. The stadium's almost done. People are going to show up to the games. If you don't like it, don't go. Do whatever it is you do. But just let us enjoy our fun. Okay? Let us enjoy our fun. We're not all gangbangers. We're not all criminals. Okay? Some of us I know. Like me personally, as a Raider fan, do I look threatening? No, I do not. I am probably one of the nicest Raider fans you'll ever meet. I have a Raider fan friend who is a second grade teacher, but because he dresses a certain way with the mask and everything, the costumes, you think he can probably stab a baby. No, he's a second grade teacher. Okay? Not all of us are terrible people. Some actually work for the state. Yes, I get it. There's a few bad apples, but that's in every team. Every team you look at, there's always going to be a few bad apples. It's just unfortunate those few bad apples ruin it for the rest of us who actually just want to tailgate, want to go to the game. Maybe try to get a couple autographs here and there. Nothing crazy. Just have a good time. And you'll see what I mean. I know right now it doesn't look that way because – again, I'm from that generation where if you have Raider gear, you're a gangster or you're a troublemaker. You broke the law. You have a criminal record or you have a parole hearing in about 20 minutes or something like that. It's not like that anymore, guys. Trust me. It's not like that anymore. And if you really want to see what it's like, talk to a few of us. Talk to a few of us who's been to games in Los Angeles, a few of us have been to games in Oakland. And we're gonna show up, whether you like it or not. We're gonna show up. You might not like it, but we're gonna show up. And you might not like how we dress, but that doesn't mean we're bad people. Question: what price you think the tickets will be? Eesh, I don't know. How much is your house mortgage a month, bro? I'm gonna tell you like this. I think the first game preseason, I'm probably thinking 250. I'm thinking 250, $300. I mean, because that's the thing. I mean, people are going to pay, and the NFL is all about the money. So I think somebody's going to pay. Thank God I already got my season tickets, so I don't have to worry about price tickets. I'm good. I'm fine. But for the rest of you guys, it's probably going to be a heavy price. So just get ready to fork up if you guys are really thinking. But again, back to it. Not everybody that dresses a certain way is a certain way. It's just we're a fan of this team. It happens. I mean, I get it. There's people out there like me that are part of that generation, the starter jacket, people getting killed over gear. It's a shame it happened, but that's ancient history. We're just fans. Like nothing to it other than that. So that's all I just wanted to leave it as, to maybe hopefully put some peace in mind to people that are watching this in Vegas that it's going to be okay. Like, I get it. There's going to be a few bad apples, but don't let those few bad apples, judge us as well. Some of us are actually the nicest people, the most harmless people you can ever meet. And, if you ever see me down the street, you want to grab a beer, let's grab a beer. Let's talk about it. I mean, I can't already tell you how many times I've been told, more Raider talk tomorrow, please. Sorry, bro. I just have to get this out because somebody wanted to know what was going on about the case in Oakland. And now that it's over, tomorrow we're actually to talk about the AFC North. The next time we'll probably get into Raider talk is probably when the schedule comes out, which I think should be next week. I think next week should be the schedule. And that's going to be exciting too. I mean, I'm going to see excited to see who's our first preseason game, who's our first regular home season game, where are we going, when it's our away game, what day. One of the games I'm really trying to catch this year is the Cleveland Browns game. I really want to try to hit the dog pound this year, make it a trip, make it a family trip, and we'll see how it goes. But tomorrow it's about the AFC North. That includes the Pittsburgh Steelers, the Baltimore Ravens, the Cincinnati Bengals, and the Cleveland Browns. So tomorrow, it's about the AFC North, and we will get more into that tomorrow. You all have a wonderful night, and it's Friday, y'all. Get pumped. Tomorrow is Friday. Mm-hmm.